cover, and we have a meager little 8 hours or something to get it all done, so I want to make sure we really get rocking and rolling. I have bad news, and that is that I talk really fast, and I've been trying for 50 years to talk slower, but I can't. So I'm hoping in the next few minutes you guys can learn to listen faster, because sometimes it's pretty hard for me to slow down. So I hope you can keep up with me through the day. Here's the other thing. I see old friends in the room. That's fantastic. Okay. The other thing about the day that I want everybody to kind of be aware of is I'm not exactly very professorial. Okay, I like to play. I like to have fun. I like to mix it up. I like to get to know each of you and know what your specific desires are in real estate investing. So feel free to keep this day really casual and make sure that it works for you. If you have questions and you want to interrupt me, stick your hand up and I'll get to you. I may tell you hold your question until later, but if it works out, I'll try to get your questions as we go along. The first thing, sort of like being on an airplane, this class this morning is Real Estate 101. You are at Nouveau Riche College in Real Estate 101. So if anybody's in the wrong class, now's your time to ditch, okay, bail out. If you saw me and realized you don't think you can spend the day with me, this would also be a good time to ditch, okay? But I think we're ready to rock and roll. I'm excited to be here for you all. This is, for those of us who've been involved with Nouveau Riche for a while, this is a really, really exciting moment in history. This is a really exciting moment in time. Yeah, Sherry, right? Woo! Let's give it up for Nouveau Riche first. Woo! Okay? Inaugural college. We're happy to be here. I couldn't be more excited to be among the folks chosen to share what I know about real estate with all of you. So I'm delighted to be here. My goal really is to make this a fantastic day for you. So the question that I want to ask as we get going is, there we go. How many of you came into this room today because you want to learn how to get rich in real estate? How many of you has that as a goal? Okay? You want to learn how to get rich in real estate. I was fully trained on the technology before everybody walked in the door, and now I can't make the PowerPoint come on. Did I? Hi. I'm great. How are you? Thank you. Everybody say good morning, Mr. Jim Piccolo, co-founder of Nouveau Riche. No, we got it now. This wasn't coming. I couldn't get input. I got it. You got it. Yep, all good. Yep. I'm all set. Thank you. Okay, now can we get started? Yeah. Okay. One more time. How many of you came into this room this morning because you want to learn how to get rich in real estate? Yeah, right? Yeah, okay? That's not my goal for you. It's not my goal for the day. Okay? I want to tell you why that's the case. And I'm going to back up and tell you just a little bit of my story, and later on you'll hear a little bit more about me. But when I first started investing in real estate, here's what happened. I took one of those classes where I went and I spent 3 days with the same guru standing up there kind of delivering information by fire hose to me. And I sat in that classroom and I soaked it all in. When I left, there were probably 250 people in that room maybe. I left that room and I went out and I started investing in real estate. Now that's many years ago. Today, I bet you I'm one of the most successful investors that came out of that class. Now, it's not, I haven't measured it. It's not a statistic, so I could be wrong, okay? But from what I know about real estate investing, I'll bet you that I'm one of the most, if not the most successful real estate investor that came out of that class. Now, do you think that's because I was the best student in the class? Nope. I was passing notes to my buddies a lot of the time, okay? Do you think that was because I had the most experience going into that class? No. Did I have the most money? No. Anybody have any idea why I'm the most successful real estate investor that came out of that class? Yeah. I probably took action on it. So my goal for today is not just that you learn how to invest in real estate, because learning is only about the first 5% of the equation. My goal is that you learn enough today and you get excited enough today that you go out and do something about it. All right? So how many of you have as a goal out of this class today to learn enough about real estate and get excited so you go out and actually do something about it? Yeah, all right? That's what we want to accomplish for the day, okay? The best way to get started on the road to wealth creation through real estate is to get some education and then to go out and act on it. And that's what I want to make sure that we do by the end of the day today, okay? At some point during the day, I want you to make the absolute decision. No turning back whatsoever. The absolute decision that you can do this and that you will do this, and that you're going to go out and do action. So from this moment forward, every single word I say in this room today, I want you to have this tape playing in the back of your mind. What does that information mean to me? How can I use that information? When will I need that information? What will I do with that information? Be thinking about the action based on the information that you're going to learn today. Because face it, what we're covering today is a lot of foundational information. It's not the sexy, fun stuff. It's foundational information that you really need. So I want you to think about it. How is that going to help me in the future? Put yourself in the mindset of actually using that information. All right, because I know that once you buy that first property, you will be hooked. You will absolutely be hooked. It is so fun. It is so exciting. It's such a charge that if you can get over that hump and take that first step and buy that first property, you'll be rocking, okay? How many of you in this room have never purchased a home, including a home that you live in, have never purchased a single solitary home? We always have some people. Fantastic. I'm glad to have you guys here. How many of you, the only time you've purchased a home is your own personal residence? Okay? Lots of those people as well. Fantastic. So you've got a little glimpse into what it's like to buy a house, and we're going to take that to a whole new level here today. How many of you in this room have purchased at least one investment property in the course of your lifetime? Awesome. Okay? How many have purchased 5 or more investment properties? Awesome. Okay? How many of you have purchased 10 or more investment properties? All right, you want to come teach for me? Okay. It wasn't a good experience to begin with. What was not a good experience, Frank?
Because I got in with the wrong partners.
Okay, wrong partners.
I was a silent partner. They did the rehab. They did the money collection. They were Section 8 HUD.
And what would you do differently today, Frank? 10 properties down the road. What would you do differently?
I wouldn't partner with somebody that was going to take and not give.
And how would you know that?
You wouldn't. Nouveau riche.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Partnering's not a good deal.
Okay, lesson number 1. It's not in your books. Pay attention to who you're partnering with.
It doesn't rob you.
Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic. We are going to talk a lot about partners today, so that's a great piece of advice to come in with in advance. One little other piece of housekeeping before we get going that I forgot to mention, in case anybody thought to bring a cell phone with you today, I know that you all have very busy, urgent lives going on, but we would just assume that your phone doesn't ring while you're in the classroom here with me today. So I'm putting my phone on mute. If you can't bear to be without it, you got to at least see if something happens. All right, my phone's on silent. I hope everybody else has either turned them off, left them in the other room, or made your phones on silent, please. All right, what are we going to cover today? Let's talk for a minute about what we're going to do today. We've got a few big chunks of information that we're going to cover, and I want to give you an idea of what our day is going to roll around like. First of all, how many of you have been in a Nouveau Riche education event before? Fantastic. You're all familiar with the lovely assessments. We will have an assessment early in the day. And what that does is it will gauge how much information that all of you have as a group to give me some idea of feedback where I can give my emphasis for the day. So we will have an assessment in just a little bit. And when that information comes back, I'll share it with the group, and we can use that to sort of guide the day so that we're providing emphasis where you all need it and not covering things that you all are fairly familiar with. All right? Then we're going to spend some time talking about hype versus reality. That wonderful seminar that I took first, it was actually great information. No complaints, money well spent. It was good information, and it launched me in my career. But it was information delivered from one of those gurus that you're all familiar with, right? I'm fantastic. Come buy my course. You can make $1 million by Thursday. Now, that's hype, right? We know that's not true, and we're going to spend some time talking about that topic. How do you figure out the difference? How do you know where's the truth in the hype? And what's reality like? What's the real world of investing in real estate? After that, we're going to spend some time on terminology. We're going to have you all speaking investor speak by the end of the day, so that when somebody says to you, well, do you have a CMA, or did you get a CMA or a BPO on that property, you'll know what those terms mean. You'll understand the implication based on whether you had a CMA or a BPO to determine the FMV, okay? So we're going to spend some time on investor speak. Then we're going to spend this afternoon some time on the basic mechanics of a real estate transaction. Because every real estate transaction, almost every one, goes through the same flow of specific mechanical events. Someone's got to put in an offer. They've got to accept the offer. then you have some due diligence to be done, then you have the closing, then you have the exchange of property. So we're going to walk through those steps and hopefully get you comfortable with what to expect as you buy a property. And, oh, I do have a slide for this, by the way. There we go. What you expect as you go through a transaction all the way through. Because most of the mechanics of those transactions are going to be the same, whether you're buying a single-family residence for $32,000 or whether you're buying a commercial property for $32 million. Okay, so you're going to learn the basic flow of that transaction so you feel comfortable with that. Then I have a 4-step process for evaluating a deal and trying to figure out, is this a transaction I want to pursue or not? Is this a way that I'm going to spend my precious resources in order to make money in real estate? So we'll walk through a 4-step evaluation of a property so you have some sense of what to look for to know if that's going to be a good deal for you or not. And then one of my favorite things is problems and opportunities. Because face it, as real estate investors, usually we make money when someone has a problem and we're the person that can solve it. If the property has a problem, if the market has a problem, if the seller has a problem, if we're the person with the best solution, we stand the greatest likelihood to make money. Almost always, that's how we do make money in this business. So we're going to spend some time talking about problems and opportunities in real estate investing, problems you want to take advantage of and problems you want to run away from, as well as opportunities to make money. And then we'll finish up the day with a section on taking action. Okay, that's how I started the day this morning. That's how we'll close it up, because really, really, and truly, it's great fun to sit in a class. I know some of you are class groupies, and it feels great to sit in a class and learn some things. For me, it's great fun to stand up here and be able to teach and share what I know. But as my dad would say, it doesn't amount to a hill of beans if all you do is fill out your notebook and take it home. So we're going to close out the day with what you need to do next, some commitments to action, and making sure you take what you've got here today and take it home and actually take action on it. And that's how we're going to round out the day. So I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be a fun day, and I hope you've all had some coffee, because now it's assessment time. We're going to start out with assessments for the day, and I'll give you about 10 minutes to fill out your assessment, and we'll move on from there. So sharp pencils at hand. Everybody have a pencil? Everybody in good shape? What's going to happen, here comes your assessments as they come down the aisle. You're also going to get your answer sheet. On your answer sheet, doesn't this look like the Iowa test you used to take? On your answer sheet, there's a couple of pieces of information that are critical to get on your answer sheet for me, please. We do ask that you put your name. On the line where it says subject, we definitely want you to put the subject of the class, all right? You're in Real Estate 101. But another critical piece of information is your student ID number, which is on your name badge. And your student ID number, you have to fill in the little circles. How many digits are on your student ID numbers? Looks like 4 digits. Okay. The student ID numbers always cause people a little bit of problem, but you fill in the circle so that you identify your student ID numbers. Do you see how that works? If anybody's a little muddled, ask me. They're coming next, right? I would recommend that you're going to keep your test paper itself. You're going to keep that at your place. So what I like to do when I take these assessments is circle or fill out my answers on the test sheet and then transfer those answers onto the answer sheet. That way you've got that in front of you as the day goes on. We need answer sheets? Yeah, please. How many of you are still working on your test? Will you raise your hand for me, please? Good. Okay, we're ready to get going. You guys, this is Heather, who's going to take good care of us today. Give Heather a hand. Yay. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Okay, everybody has a workbook. And between when you checked in this morning and now, you should have read and studied pages 1 through 25. Everybody done that? Okay, good, excellent. Now move to page 26. The material from on page 1 to 25 is a sort of a recap of what we're doing here today. So if you get stuck on some of the answers, if you want to review later, if you can't find anybody to have lunch with and need something to do at lunch, you can read that information. We're going to step past it right now and move on in your workbooks to the page where you start filling in information. So it starts on page 26. And I want to make sure that all of you retain what we do today. So I want to make sure that as you go along, keep up in your workbooks a little bit. If you have questions, if you get stuck, ask me. We'll work it through together. Lots of cases, the fill in the blank, there could be many different correct answers. So we won't get hung up on the right answer for blank number 22. But I want to make sure that you're using your workbooks well and capturing the information that we're talking about today. So you've got some good notes to go back and refer to. So why do we invest in real estate? Why is real estate better than other forms of investment? Well, there's a lot of great reasons. And at Nouveau Riche, some of you have heard the acronym that we use. We think that real estate is an ideal investment. And we use that acronym, IDEAL, to talk about the benefits to investing in real estate. And I think it's worth taking a couple minutes to review that again here, because if this is why we're doing it, let's make sure that you're capturing these great benefits as you go out in the real world and as you're actually investing. So the I in IDEAL stands for income. Now, most of us have a few different kinds of goals with our real estate investing, but for most of us, it has something to do with income. Now, the beauty of investing in real estate is there's lots of different ways to make income to meet whatever your particular goals are. I see some people in this room who are really young, and their concerns and their goals out of real estate investing is going to be probably quite different from those people who are my age and older. Okay, those of us thinking more about retirement have different concerns with different life stages. Investing in real estate, you can make money in the short term. Okay, you can do strategies like a fix and flip, or you can do wholesaling, and you can do some things to make lump sums of cash right now. $2,000, $5,000, $20,000 more. Those are doable kinds of deals even early in your real estate investing. You can do transactions and make nice lump sums of money today. And making cash for the short term, that's a beautiful thing. Some people have that as a primary goal and in their real estate investing. Some people have great jobs and that doesn't really matter so much to them. They want to build a portfolio to build wealth and build a portfolio of assets for the longer term for their retirement. So you definitely can earn lump sums of cash in the short term. Okay? You can also engage in transactions where you're earning cash flow on a monthly basis. Month after month after month, you've got a mortgage payment that's this much, and your renter is paying you this much, and you're making what's in between. Okay? That's monthly cash flow. How many of you have read Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Okay, so are you familiar with his definition of financial freedom? His definition of financial freedom is when that passive income exceeds your expenses. So some people seek out that passive income. In other words, they don't have to go to work that day. They don't have to do anything differently. But as long as that renter keeps paying their rent and you keep paying that mortgage payment, you're making that cash flow on a monthly basis. Well, if that's $200 and you have 10 of those and you need $2,000 to live on, you've hit financial freedom. You don't have to do anything else, and you've got enough to live on. So some people follow that philosophy, and that's their burning desire in their real estate investing, is to create a large portfolio that creates that passive income so that they don't have to look to a job or other means to make money. Some people build their portfolios just for that long-term wealth. They're looking for that appreciation in their properties. They're looking for that buildup of equity in their properties so that down the road they have a portfolio of investment properties with great value in it that's going to fund their children's college education or their retirement or an increased lifestyle or whatever that might be. There's lots of different ways to make money in real estate. One of the first things I encourage you all to do is to consider that a little bit with your own specific circumstance and consider what actually makes the most sense for me. Set up your own business plan, if you will. Write your own business plan. Take a look at what kind of money do I want to make and what works well for my circumstance in life. So income absolutely is one of the main reasons that we all invest in real estate. Okay, the D in ideal stands for one of two things. It's either depreciation or it's deductions. Both of those have to do with taxes. Tax deductions, of course, if you own property are fantastic. You know, there's two tax systems in this country, one for employees and one for business owners. When you are a real estate investor, you are a business owner. And that qualifies you for a whole range of tax deductions that don't apply to employees and other ordinary individuals. You can definitely increase the amount of money you're making and increase your wealth by taking good advantage of the special and specific tax opportunities that are afforded to real estate investors. Any accountants in the room? Who's an accountant here? Not a single one? Okay, since they're not here, I can say that's great news. Okay, I'm happy about that. But here's what I wanted an accountant for, was to give you the definition for depreciation. Anybody, even not an accountant, know the definition for depreciation? Oh, I love this, okay. I'm actually usually not the smartest person in the room, so when I have these moments when I know something nobody else knows, I like this. Depreciation is actually a tax-related term, all right? What depreciation is, and I have to look this up all the time to get it specifically explained right, but depreciation is where you allocate the cost of a property over its useful life. Depreciation is when you allocate the cost of the property over its useful life. Now, we'll take that out of accountant speak and understand what that really means. From a tax perspective, the IRS is assuming that when you buy an asset for your business, something of value, that it wears out a little bit over time. From the crazy IRS perspective, they're assuming that if something is supposed to last, designed to last 10 years, that it wears out 1/10 each of those 10 years. And so it's worth 10% less year after year after year. So as a real estate investor, you can depreciate your property. From a tax perspective, the IRS assumes that it wears out a little bit every year. So that becomes a tax advantage for you on your tax return. Now, does real estate depreciate or does it appreciate? It appreciates. So on paper, you get to show that it's worth less. That's fantastic. In reality, it's worth more. That's fantastic. So deductions and depreciation are very compelling reasons to be investing in real estate. Extremely favorable tax position. Okay? E is for equity. Anybody want to hazard a definition for equity? Oh, right.
It's the difference in fair market value versus what you owe.
Fair market value versus what you owe. Everybody hear that? The difference between fair market value and what you owe. That's exactly right. Now, Sherry, what if my mortgage is, what if my fair market value on my house is $150,000 and my mortgage is $100,000? What's my equity? $50,000. What if I have a home equity line of credit for $20,000 on that property? How does that change?
How does it change your equity?
Yep, how does that change the equity?
Well, it doesn't change the equity, but you're able to leverage your equity and tap some of it out to use it to go make more money.
Fantastic. Fantastic. You can take advantage of that equity. If you have a line of credit, you can actually make use of that equity and take it out and invest in other properties. Now, the way that it does impact the equity in that property depends on whether or not you're using that line of credit, right? If you have a line of credit available to you and you're using none of it, you still owe $100,000, the house is still worth $150,000, your equity is still $50,000. But if you use that line of credit, take $20,000 out and use it to invest in other things, which we'll learn is a great idea. Now the total that you owe on that property is $120,000 on a $150,000 house, so your equity in that house is now $30,000. Understand that concept? The total that you owe against that property versus not what you paid for it, but the current value in that house. Any questions about that? Everybody get those distinctions in that? And that leads us right to the topic of appreciation, because what that means is if you buy that house for $150,000 and it's appreciating over time and you own that house for several years, and now even though you purchased it for $150,000, now let's say that house is worth $200,000, your equity has grown. Follow all that? So there's different definitions between the current market value, the current value of that house, your purchase price, and the amount that you owe on it. That makes a distinction between those definitions. So appreciation is when the value of your house grows over time, and equity is the difference between the total that you owe and its current value. Got that? Those are very, very key concepts to real estate investors that we'll use through the day. So I want to make sure everybody's clear on those. And the last one, the main reason most of us invest in real estate is the idea of leverage. And this is one of my favorite concepts, is leverage. And we're going to talk a lot more about leverage today. Sherry. You could do that either way. The way that I did that in my workbook was that number 10 says A stands for appreciation. This means that the property grows in value. All right? So real estate appreciates whether you own it or not. Got that? Thank you. Good question. Okay. So L is for leverage, and leverage is a fantastic thing. Leverage is one of my favorite concepts. The basic definition of leverage is using anything outside of you, anything you don't already have, using something else to increase your gain or your benefit or your power. So you use something else to help you, is basically what leverage is. You know, the original concept of leverage, from a physics point of view, we can all imagine a seesaw. And if the seesaw stands on a fulcrum, that's adding leverage to the activity. So when you push down on this side, that leverages the other side up. All right? So using anything else to help you. Examples of that, before you even talk about the financial aspects of leverage in real estate, examples of that is using someone else to help you. If I'm doing a transaction and I'm not quite sure how to do it, and Sherry has done something like this before, that's leverage. I'm going to leverage Sherry's knowledge. I'm going to call her up and say, hey, how do I do this? What do I need to look out for? So you can leverage knowledge. You can leverage time. You can leverage money, credit. Okay? We've all heard the expression, I think somebody has the book here, OPM, right? What does OPM stand for? Other people's money. So use other people's time, other people's credit, other people's everything. And real estate is totally a business of leverage. But let's look specifically to make sure you understand a leverage example in a financial sense. If I had $5,000 to invest and I went out to buy a property, I could buy quite a bit of property for $5,000. I could put my $5,000 in and buy a $100,000 house. All right? If I had $5,000 and I wanted to go out to the stock market, and I called my banker and said, hey, I have $5,000. I'm going to invest in stock. Will you give me $95,000, Mr. Banker, and let's go in together? Not a chance. They're not going to do that. Now, if I invest that $5,000, my own $5,000 in stock, and I put it in a company, and that company grows in value, do I get 100% of the growth in value in that company? Absolutely not. But when I put my $5,000 into a house, do I earn 100% of the growth in the value on that house? Absolutely, I do. Let's look at how that works financially. If I have $5,000 to put into a property, I get a $95,000 loan. That means the bank's $95,000 and my $5,000 go into this property. All right? Let's say that property appreciates at the current national annual average appreciation of 6.34%. All right? Some areas it does a lot less, some it doesn't do quite that much, but let's use that for the sake of example. In 1 year's time, if that $100,000 property appreciates at that level, the gain in value in that house is $6,340. When you compare $6,340 to that $5,000, that's a return on my investment of 127%. Does anybody have a stock in the past 5 years where they've made 127% return? Not too likely, is it? Because you're measuring the return, the $6,340, on your investment, the $5,000. All right? You earn on the 100, but you measure it against what you put in, giving you just fantastic return on investment. That's the beauty, that's the financial power of leverage in real estate that wouldn't happen. If you put $5,000 in the stock market, let's say you get an unheard of 50% return. That's $2,500. I'd rather make $6,300 than $2,500. So that is a pretty important concept. Now I want to tie two of these concepts together for you, leverage and equity. Because lots of us as new real estate investors, when we're just getting started, we don't have a lot of money to invest. And we're drawn to the topics and the courses and the idea of no money down investing. That's for me. I don't have any money. I want to learn how to do no money down investing. That's a great thing. As new investors, we think it's a great thing because we don't have money. And I'm going to teach you next why savvy, sophisticated, experienced investors love no money down investing, even if they've got plenty of money to put into it. And it's because you combine this idea of leverage and you combine the idea of equity in that property. And here's an extremely important lesson, and I don't even think it's in your workbook. Let's say you've got that $150,000 house and you've got a $100,000 loan on it. All right, there's $50,000 in equity. Most people of my generation are taught that equity is a great thing. Do everything you can do to pay down your mortgage, get that house paid off. Investors don't think that way. You can tell Sherry's an experienced investor because the first thing she wanted to do was put that equity to good use. Use that equity. If that $150,000 house is appreciating at 10% a year, in 1 year, you'll make $15,000. If your loan on that $150,000 house is $145,000, and that property appreciates at 10% in 1 year, you'll make, trick question, $15,000. The same. If your loan on that house is $80,000, and it's a $150,000 house, and it appreciates at 10% a year, you'll make $15,000. Now you're getting it, right? So how much do you earn on equity? Nothing. Zero. Equity does you no good. Are you getting that? I see a couple confused faces. How many really understand that? Okay. It's a security blanket. Now, there is benefit in having a lower mortgage because you have a lower mortgage payment. So you'll likely have a little better cash flow on a monthly basis. It's not like you always want to avoid that. That's not what I'm saying. But the goal of a real estate investor is to use that money wisely. So knowing that equity does you no good in terms of appreciation, if I have $20,000 to invest, do I want to buy one property with a $20,000 down payment? Or do I want to buy 20 properties with a $1,000 down payment each? 20 properties. I'll earn appreciation on 20 properties, not one. If I have $20,000 and I buy properties with no money down, right? Then I still have my $20,000 and I'm earning that appreciation. That's why sophisticated investors like no money down investing. Money is a precious resource, and the further you stretch it and the more property you buy, if appreciation is one of the ways that you're earning money, the more you're going to earn. Clear? Great. Okay. Awesome. All right, let's talk about the hype. We've all heard it, whether in newspaper ads or late night television or however we hear it. All you got to do is read my course and you're going to be a millionaire by Thursday. You can make a lot of money fast. And they show you a picture of like the dumbest guy they could find, right? And that guy is so dumb you're thinking, man, if he made money in real estate, I can certainly make money in real estate. So I can make a lot of money in real estate fast. I can make a lot of money in real estate even if I'm stupid, okay? They'll tell you somebody that, yesterday I was broke as could be. I had not a penny to my name, and I still made my fortune in real estate. So you're thinking, man, I can be stupid. I can do it fast even if I don't have any money or any friends. And they lay out this picture to you that it's just as easy as a piece of cake. All you need to do is buy their one course, and that's your road to riches, okay? No money, no problem. No credit, no problem. You've heard all of that stuff in real estate investing, right? Yeah? So we're all skeptical. You're all looking at it going, yeah, I don't think so. And then that little tape runs in the back of your mind, but I think it has to be true for them to say it on television, doesn't it? Or how can they get away with doing that? Are they just like slimy? What's really going on? Why are people saying that? And then the next thing happens. You meet an investor somewhere, and they say, oh, yeah, I'm a real estate investor. I just closed on a house yesterday, and they'll show you the check. I made $35,000 yesterday. Wow. So, okay, some people do it, but not like it sounds on those commercials, I'm sure. So where is the middle line? How do they get away with saying that? How much of that is true? What is it really like to be a real estate investor? How much money can you actually make as a real estate investor? Well, to answer that question, I'll back up a little bit and I'll tell you a little bit of my story in real estate investing and how I got started in real estate investing. So I believed it. Man, I was at a point where I was kind of broke, and I was looking behind me, and I was making enough to live on, but just barely. I wasn't putting any money, in the bank for my financial future. And I saw one of those gurus, you can make all this money and you don't need any resources. I'm like, man, sign me up. I'm going to do that. I'm going to make a lot of money in real estate investing. Then I can go back to doing the other things that I really like to do. Well, it's up there for the whole world to see. Did I make money fast? It took me 6 months to get to my first deal. But I'll tell you what happened in that 6 months' time to get to my first deal. I went to that course, as I described to you, and I got all that real estate investing education over 3 days' time, and I was pumped when I walked out of the course. And I had a business partner. She and I were at the course together. We drove out of there. We left that course. A couple of you heard me say a little bit of this story this weekend. We left that course. We made one stop, and we kept on going. We went to my house. We sat down at my house. She was on this side of the table. I'm on this side of the table. She took one extension of the telephone. I took one extension of the telephone. Anybody here from Denver? Yeah. Okay, there's a couple Denver folks. She took the part of the newspaper from Lakewood, which is a part of town she lived in. I took the part of the newspaper from Denver, which is where I lived in. We said, okay, we heard something about FSBOs at this course. I think FSBOs is what we need to do. So we start looking through the newspaper for sale by owner, and we're circling for sale by owner, each of us in our own neighborhoods, okay? Don't know what we're going to do next, but we're circling. We're looking in the newspaper for sale by owner. We circle them. Then we flip a coin. Somebody's got to call. Somebody's got to make that phone call, right? We flip the coin. Ooh, it was me. Okay. Make the call. Exactly. All right, make the call. Whew. Now, anybody here afraid of public speaking? Most people are, all right? As you might be able to tell, it doesn't bother me in the least. But I am deadly afraid of sounding stupid on the phone, right? Okay. I was terrified. I'm going, okay, I got to do this. So I pick up the telephone, dial the number. Whew. Hi, my name is Nancy. I'm calling about your house for sale. Well, she wanted to talk to me. I survived, okay? She said, yeah. Oh, it's really cute. It's got 3 bedrooms, and it's this many square feet. And, oh, we just refinished the mantle of the fireplace. It's so cute. I'm thinking, okay. She didn't, bite my head off. Lightning didn't strike me down. Nothing happened. I had a nice conversation with her, and then I started to get more and more scared. I was like, where is this going? What the heck am I going to do with this? And I said, well, then I'm gonna think about it. I'll call you back. Thank you. Boom. So I survived. My heart's pounding like this, but I did it. So then I turned to my partner. It's going to be her turn. But first, she'd been listening on the other line. So we start talking about it. Well, maybe you should have said this. I'm like, oh, I can't believe I said that. Mel, maybe we should have done this. So we have a little conversation about how that phone call went. Okay, now it's her turn. I get to listen on the other line, okay? She's got to make the call. Well, she sounded even stupider than I did. Okay, we're not partners anymore, so I can tell you this. So she sounded the thing is, we both sounded stupid. We both felt stupid, but we did it. We picked up the phone and we called people. Did we buy a house that night? No. But we made lots of calls that night. We called and we talked to people, and we called and we talked to some more people. We talked it over together. What should we say? What do I actually want to know from this person? I don't have any idea. We knew some things about real estate, but we didn't have a clue what to do on the telephone when we got there, but we did it. And we started learning something from that. Then we figured out, okay, I guess one of the things we need to do is start writing down the results from these phone calls, keeping track of who we called, keeping track of what we learned. And several nights that week we did that. We'd sit down face to face, back and forth, and we'd make those phone calls together. Anybody in this room that is working real estate business with a spouse or a brother or a partner of any kind, I recommend that you do this together because you give each other the guts. You hold each other accountable. Okay? If you're not working with a partner, pick a telephone buddy and just do this with a telephone buddy because you'll be amazed at how much more you learn and how good you get and how courageous you have to be when somebody's sitting there watching you. You can't go, all right, I'm going to phone call. Oh, no, I need to wash the dishes. Okay? No, I'm going to make the phone calls, right? You can't ditch them when you got somebody sitting right there in front of you. So we made those phone calls time after time after time, and we started learning what we're going to do. And pretty soon we got a little more comfortable with the phone calls. The next thing that happened is we're not going to buy any house if we just keep calling for sale by owner, going, thanks, I'll call you back. Eventually we knew we'd have to actually go look at a property. Well, we had the same thing happen, right? It's like, oh, man, I got to ask and see if she'll let me come look at it. Well, maybe it sounds like a nice house. Can I come look on Saturday at 2? And we'd go and look at the house. And we were in the same thing. I'd go look at a house. I don't know what I'm looking for. If the carpet's good or bad, is that a good or bad thing? If it's a big house, a small house, I had no idea what I was doing, but I went out there and looked at some properties, and I talked to some sellers, and we made a little bit of progress that way. And then, lo and behold, we found a house that we thought maybe we ought to put an offer in on. Woo-hoo! Okay? I didn't know how to make an offer. I thought maybe there was a form in all those stacks of stuff I got at that guru class, and I went back and I dug through that stuff, and we'd sit down together, again, the two of us, and we'd practice filling out the form so we knew what to write if we went out there to make an offer to a seller. And finally we did that step. And eventually we got an offer accepted, and eventually we had to learn about how to get an appraisal, and eventually we had to find lenders, and eventually we worked with inspectors. We did this countless numbers of times over 6 months. 6 months it took us to do this. But I'll tell you what happened in that 6 months' time. I can do any of those parts, anything in that process right now with my eyes closed, right? I talk to so many people that I'm not afraid of any part of the process anymore. And I believe you me, fear is the number one thing that will keep you from taking action. And what's the number one thing that will cure your fear? Taking action. So you get out there and do something. Well, we did that, and little by little by little, we started growing comfortable. We started building our team of professionals. We started networking and getting to know other investors in our community. And what happened at the end of 6 months of what I call my practice deals, because we didn't do a single one of those, at the end of 6 months' time, we got a phone call on a Monday morning from another investor in Denver. I was living in Denver at the time. And this other investor said, I just finished a rehab, or I'm about to finish a rehab on a building with 3 units in it near a university in Denver, and we're looking to sell it to an investor. And I'm like, yahoo, okay, I want to buy it. And I'm thinking maybe this is going to be the one. And here's what she told me. Now, we took out a loan when we bought this property, and it has a prepayment penalty on it. So we don't want you to get a new loan. We want to carry this loan. Shing! None of my own credit, right? Okay, I knew enough at least to recognize that the good things were happening at that point in time. She said, and here's the great thing. We only need $20,000 down payment, and you're into this property, and we'll carry the note. Sell it to you below market value. Your rents should make you positive cash flow. I was pretty excited, but for the one little fact that I didn't have $20,000. But I knew a lot of people by now. And I made 3 phone calls that Monday morning to people I knew were interested in real estate. And one of them said, I might want to do that. And we had lunch together. And I told her all about the deal, and she liked it. And after work, she had a day job. After work that Monday, she went out with me and we looked at that property. And she said, I like it. I want to invest in this. On Tuesday, we hammered out our agreement as partners. And on Friday, we closed, and I bought that property. So, did it take me 5 days to buy that property? Did it take me 6 months to buy that property? Okay, but I did it. I bought that property, none of my own credit, none of my own money, and I was a real estate investor. That was a pretty exciting time for me. Now, here's, oh, yay, I have a picture. Ta-da, there it is, okay? Kind of ugly, huh? Okay. But that was my first property. I have a picture of me standing right up there, you know, with the contracts in hand and laughing and joking about it. Has a unit upstairs. This part and this part is a 2-bedroom, and this basement and part of this part is another 2-bedroom. And what used to be a garage is converted into a sweet little 1-bedroom unit over there, and there's actually another garage off of the back there. And it's since been landscaped and cleaned up, and that was my first investment property. So when you all do this, take these pictures, because you'll have lots and lots of fond memories when you do that. That was my first investment property. Now the good news is I'm a slow learner, but once I learn it, I get it. So over the next 6 months, then I started actually buying a lot more property. This was the second property that I bought. How many of you were there at the intensive this past Saturday? Okay, a couple of you heard me talk about the really ugly house. This house was the second property that I bought. It's actually a duplex. There's a unit up on this side, and then there's a unit that goes up on the other side. What you're looking at here is the back of this house, and you can see that it's all gray. This actually is not a black and white photograph, okay? This is a color photograph, okay? You can see that it's all gray. Do you see this that's all kind of gray there? It has no yard, concrete. Okay, this is as ugly a house as you can imagine, and this was our second purchase. We got excited when we saw this one for sale because we could buy it below market value, and we were buying it from another real estate investor who was willing to work creatively with us on the offer, and we actually bought this and got money back at closing. We went in with about $20,000 down payment that we borrowed, and we walked out with $50,000 to pay the $20,000 back that we borrowed, to pay to do a little fix-up on it, and to put money in our pocket. This was the second property that I did, probably 2 weeks after that first one that I talked to you about. So we're talking about the hype, remember? Can you do this? The second property I bought. I arranged a cash back at closing transaction, and I bought this property. Was it a good purchase? Not exactly, okay? This, by the way, is the front of this house. This is the side. This is the front. How many of you want to live in a house with no windows? Is that the, yeah, this is the front. This is the front of the house. Okay, this is more concrete. And so you pull up and you drive anywhere you want. You park anywhere you want to in the concrete in this house. Okay, isn't that pretty? That's nice. Okay, and actually this is after we fixed it up. This is the good version. Because when we bought this house, all this little white trim here to give it some interest, none of that white existed. When we bought this house, it was like this gray monochrome thing. Okay, this is how we made it better. Okay? This is a pretty ugly house. Nobody mentioned to me that if you buy a house and you want people to actually either rent it or buy it from you, it might be something somebody would ever want to live in, okay? This is a really ugly house. So it had a renter on one side, and one side was vacant. And we were assured that we could put renters in it and make a lot of money on this house after we did it. Well, we found out that actually, no, people weren't too happy to live in this house. It was so ugly. Oh, by the way, it was on one of the busiest streets in Denver. It was on like a giant, big 4-lane street, okay? So you got bad traffic, bad noise, bad neighbors. There was like a motorcycle drug house kind of on this side, okay? And the house with all concrete in the middle like that. And, you see this lot like this? It kind of had some drainage problems on the other side. Oh, you can't see it. Right back in there. The water would come gushing down like here and pour right over into here and kind of go into the basement of this house. Okay? $20,000 wasn't enough to get back on this house. I was pretty excited because I had a cash back deal, all right? And I was lucky. I thank my lucky stars. It must be clean living, haha. But we started advertising to get either tenants or tenant buyers for this house after we bought it. And we had another investor come to us and say he really wanted to buy it. And I'm looking at this thing thinking, wow, there's somebody dumber than me out there. But he actually bought it, and it was a win-win deal. We made a couple $1,000s when we sold it, but remember, we'd already made about $20,000. We made a couple $1,000s when we sold that, and he had some other plans. He was buying several properties all up and down that row, and he made out. We didn't give him a bad deal in any way, shape, or form. And in fact, he and I have gone on to do several other transactions together. We keep in touch and buy and sell houses from each other. So it turned out to be an okay deal, but because I was lucky, not because I was smart. So in real estate investing, they talk about pretty houses and ugly houses. Pretty houses are usually ones that are ready for someone to live in, that people would like to live in, a nice house in a nice neighborhood. In investing, an ugly house usually means a house that needs work, all right? Not something like this. I don't recommend ever that you buy a house this ugly. This is really a bad idea. So that was my second purchase. We went on in the next 6 months' time. We purchased, let's see, I have to look at my list. Over the next 6 months' time, we purchased this one and through some dumb luck made some money, all right, and which turned out to kind of be a flip or a wholesale because we sold it about 30 days after we bought it. So we did do that. If the hype says, you can make money right away and make money fast, we did that on this property. Pardon me?
How long after you bought it did you sell it?
Well, about 30 days.
30, okay.
Yeah, we turned it around right away. Yep. So I was stupid, but short-term stupid. Okay, I learned that lesson. Then we went on. We bought a house up in a beautiful town up in the foothills around Denver. We bought a sweet duplex on a sandwich lease option basis, where we didn't actually buy it and put it under contract, but the seller was willing to have us lease it from him over the long term. We didn't move into it. We put tenant buyers in. We put in other people who wanted to buy that property, and they paid the rent. And then at the end, we made money on that. So the renters paid us, we paid the original seller, and the seller paid the mortgage. Okay? So that also is a no money down deal. None of our own credit, none of our own money, because it was a sandwich lease option. Okay? The next one that we did after that, I have to remember these in order. It's been a while. We did, you've heard the expression, getting the deed without getting the debt. And we did a property like that, a sweet little one-bedroom condominium project in the city of Denver. And then I really branched out, and we did a conversion project where we would buy one property that had 4 units in it, and it was one income property. One landlord owned it and had 4 rental units in it. And we did the work that it took through with a surveyor and an attorney and the appropriate city and county agencies to convert it from 1 to 4 individual townhomes. And we rehabbed it and sold those 4 individual townhomes independently. Okay? So in 6 months, I did a lot of practice. In the next 6 months, I bought about $2 million worth of real estate. So that's pretty good. Okay? Anybody here would like to buy $2 million worth of real estate using none of their own money and none of their own credit in 6 months' time? That's a pretty good deal. So that when I tell you, as I started out earlier, that I think I'm one of the more successful real estate investors who took the course, that's why. I did a pretty good job and we bought a lot of real estate. Now there's a lot of things I did wrong, and in my class tomorrow we'll talk about some of those kinds of things, because I was all over the map. You know, I was buying some of this and some of that and some of that. I didn't have a good strategy. I did a lot of things wrong, but I didn't ever lose money on a project. A couple of them I just about broke even or didn't make a lot of money, but that's what I did. So where is the difference? Where is the hype and what's the real world like, all right? What's the difference between what I did and what the hype that you heard, or what a lot of other investors do and what the hype is that you hear? Well, the hype says you can do it really, really fast. And in some cases, you can, right? In some cases, you can. Once I knew what I was doing, I bought one property in 5 days. Once I was down the road and I got a little bit of luck, this ugly house, you know, within 30 days' time, I bought it and sold it and made, you know, $25,000. My partner and I made $25,000 on it. So, can you make money fast in real estate investing? You absolutely can. Does everybody who invests in real estate make money fast? Nope. Absolutely not. All right? What else is the hype? Okay, that you can get started with limited resources. Absolutely, that's the case. There are many ways to make money with none of your to make money in real estate with none of your own money and none of your own credit. But can you just walk in with absolutely no resources? Pretty unlikely. Pretty unlikely. If you really study and you really learn, and you have good partners, you have some education, and you work really, really hard, there are definitely ways to make money in real estate using none of your own money and none of your own credit. Between Sherry and I, we probably know 50 to 100 people that do that regularly. There's lots of people that do that. So it's definitely a doable thing. Will you do it by Thursday? No. Will every person in this class do it? No. Can you do it without investing at least time or at least money or at least putting in something of your own resources? No. Okay? You absolutely can invest with bad credit. A lot of people I talk to say to me, oh, I really, really want to be a real estate investor, but I want to get my credit score up first. You don't need to do that. You absolutely can invest if you have no credit, if you have bad credit, if you have kind of iffy credit, if you have great credit and don't want to use your credit. There's definitely ways to do it. So all the things that you hear on the hype and all of the stuff that you hear that you think is too good to be true, each item on that list has an element of truth in it. Absolutely. And I'll bet you probably even those people you see on those commercials, they probably did do what they're talking about. But that guy probably sold that course to 3 million people, and one person did that. Okay? Because you can get many of the things on that list of fast, no money, no credit, all the stuff that's on the list of the hype. You can do deals with each of those, but you're probably not ever going to get everything on the list. You're not going to have a fast deal with a lot of cash back if you have no money, no credit, no knowledge. So you've got to start somewhere. You need some resources to get you down the road. And what does it take to do that? My theme for the day, that action orientation. If you're not out there doing something, you're absolutely not going to make money. Okay, what else does it take? Perseverance. I'm here to tell you that through most of that 6-month period where I wasn't making a penny, most of that period I was working full-time as a real estate investor. You think there were days when I wanted to throw in the towel? You think there were days when I thought I'd been duped? This doesn't work. What on earth have I possibly gotten into? But I kept going and kept going and kept going. And perseverance definitely was the thing that pulled me through in the end. The ability to solve problems is a key element for success in real estate investing. In real estate investing, it's such a huge universe. It's such a huge industry. It's such a huge topic that it's almost certain that every person in this room could do 100 transactions over the next 10 years, and in all of those transactions, 50 times 100, or whatever that number is, there would be some distinguishing element about every single transaction that would be different. Every transaction you ever engage in will be different, will have its own nuance, will have a particular problem to solve. So it's not like you can just kind of learn the answers and then go out and do it. You'll be solving problems constantly. And as I talked about earlier, we'll spend more time on that, because the better you are at solving problems, the more likely you are to make money, and the more money you'll make. Okay? It also takes the ability to ask for help and the ability to use that feedback. It's easy to think I've taken a couple courses, I know the answers, and then it's real easy when you get out there in the real world to run up against a wall. So not only ask for help, know where to ask for help, be willing to ask for help, and then really, really be willing to listen and use that feedback. You'll save yourself money, I guarantee it. Self-reliant and self-confident. Now, I'm pretty self-reliant, and generally I'm pretty self-confident, but I'm convinced that the self-confidence is the reason that it took me 6 months to do my first deal, and then the next 6 months I bought $2 million worth of property, right? Because all of a sudden I didn't think it's got to work, it might work, it should work, I hope it works. All of a sudden I knew, in my gut, to the bottom of my soul, this works. Ha ha! I did it. I can do it. And when you get that going within you, then you're hooked. You're going to be investing like mad. Now, tolerance of uncertainty, I also think, is a key element. And I would invite everyone in this room to spend a minute really reflecting honestly with yourself about your tolerance for uncertainty. Some people are a lot more comfortable with ambiguity and uncertainty and risk than other people are. And some people just are so much more in need of this is how it's going to be, sort of coloring within the lines kind of personalities. And real estate is never, never like that. You talk to any real estate investor, you talk to a new real estate investor, and they'll say, I'm doing this deal and it's supposed to close next Thursday, and there's this problem with the loan and this is going wrong, and they're a little worried and nervous, and the stuff that's not quite coming together as it should is causing them huge amounts of tension. You talk to an experienced real estate investor, they're going, oh yeah, I got a closing on Thursday, a problem with the loan. They know that everything about a real estate deal is fraught with problems and uncertainty, and something can go wrong. So if dealing with that level of uncertainty and things that can and will go wrong is an issue that is difficult for your personality, be aware of it. Dial into that. Know that that's what you're getting into here. Okay, risk-taking and risk-sharing. That's a real tough one for some people. You want to do everything you can to minimize that risk, to share that risk if you can do that, but you need to know that there is risk in real estate investing. I stood to have that pretty $25,000 check or $20,000 check on that ugly property in my hands and have it evaporate because I had made a stupid mistake. And when you make mistakes in real estate, they can be big mistakes. A lesson here that I like to point out that I don't think is in your book also is a strong piece of advice I give to every new investor is when you're looking for a deal and you go out to find that first deal, find a deal with a big, fat margin. Your first investing deals, find ones where you're going to make a lot of money. And that's not because I'm greedy, although making a lot of money beats making a little money, in my opinion. I like that. But that's because when you make a mistake in real estate investing, it can be a big mistake. Any of you who have invested who've made a big mistake? Sherry, tell us about money you didn't make or money you lost. Really? Yeah. Are you willing to share a big mistake with us? Ow. Lost 30 grand.
But I never did it again.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It was a $30,000 seminar. Yeah. So a $30,000 mistake. Thank you for being willing to share that. Okay? A $30,000 mistake. That's a pretty big mistake. I've probably made a $30,000 mistake in my career as well. And fortunately, it meant, in my circumstance, I didn't lose $30,000. I stood to make a lot, and I made $30,000 less. So that's the point I'm making to you. $30,000 is a lot, all right? But it's easy to make a $5,000 mistake, a $10,000 mistake in real estate investing. It's really easy. And I hear new investors say to me, you know, I don't care. I don't have to make the big dollars like they do on those infomercials. I'm not looking to make $25,000 my first deal. I'll be happy just to make $2,000 or something. I just want to learn. I just want to get my first deal under my belt. I'd settle for a smaller return. Don't do it. Okay? Go for the bigger return early on. Later, when you're more sophisticated, you might find something where you're only going to make $4,000 or $5,000 a deal and string some deals together or something. When you know a lot more, that's a whole lot safer. When you're just starting out, go for those juicier returns, because if you don't, you do stand to be upside down. I'm glad you recovered from a $30,000 mistake. Ow. Ow.
you know, honestly, if it weren't for me, Barisha would have wiped me out of the game.
Wow.
So, this whole infrastructure is perfect.
Yeah. It's really true. The infrastructure that you all have here, for those of you as new investors, don't know how different this world is than the rest of the world for investors. That you have people around you who are fantastic people, willing to share what they know, willing to help you make money, willing to partner with you on deals, willing to teach you. Yeah, it is a pretty good deal. So it all boils down to, in this, in the truth versus the hype, what it all boils down to is everything on the list that they say in those the guru kinds of things and those infomercials and all of the hype that you hear about real estate investing, it all can be done. All right? There's almost nothing there that there aren't people who have done some of that. But if you keep your expectations realistic, if you lower your expectation for success and quadruple your expectation for the work that you're going to put in, you're probably going to meet in the middle. You're probably going to be there. It's work, and you're going to work hard, but there definitely is truth in that hype. There are those deals that can be done. You absolutely must take responsibility, and you must take action. I've been an entrepreneur for a lot of years, and I coach a lot of people in a whole variety of different businesses. And there are really two different mindsets. There are those people who are naturally very entrepreneurial, and there are those people who are more comfortable in a more structured environment. There are those people who fit well and work well in a job. And there are those people who fit well and work well as their own boss, as an entrepreneur. And I know that there are probably some of each of you in this room, and there are entrepreneurs in jobs, and there are people that have jobs that are trying to be entrepreneurs. They mix and match. So know yourself, and know that real estate investing, for the most part, is an extraordinarily entrepreneurial endeavor. Wow, try saying that fast 3 times. An extraordinarily entrepreneurial endeavor. You are your own boss. You're going to be, the buck stops here. And if you're not comfortable with that, find ways to invest in real estate and involve yourself with people who are comfortable with that. Because that's what life is like. You don't have the resources of an IT department and a purchasing department and a human resources department, a janitorial department, okay? You don't have those resources around you like you have in a corporate environment. You don't have a manager to come back and say, this is my report, is it good? You don't have any other people to point to and say, I didn't mess up, he did. You're it. So be prepared to take that responsibility, because you absolutely can do those things. It's just a matter of will you. And delightfully, we're a little bit ahead of schedule, because our next section is going to be talking about terminology. So we're going to take just a very short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about terminology. Before we take a break, if anybody has other questions, I'd be happy to field questions about what's realistic to expect, what you think you can do, anything else, any questions on anything, I'd be happy to field. Milton?
Number 23, I wanted to fill in those spots there. Maybe I might have missed it.
Short list to get started. An action orientation. Learn to become a doer. Yep, self-starter. Okay. Perseverance. You're going to encounter critics and naysayers along the way. You're going to encounter people who say you can't do it, people who make fun of you. Okay? Learn not to be intimidated by your problems. Stay committed to your vision of success and use solutions. Yep. Move closer to your goals. Okay. You get the gist of it. I won't grade off if you didn't use the right word. Okay? I'm glad there's people who follow along, keep that workbook going. Thank you. Thank you. Anything else before we take a break? I like breaks early in the morning anyway. Everybody needs coffee and bio breaks and so on. So let's take a break. My atomic clock says 9:22. So let's say 9:40. That's 18 minutes. We'll be back. Thank you. Excited to have that house. I feel relaxed on that beach. Let yourself get in touch with those emotions, and that's going to help you retain more of what we're doing today. So there's a sneaky speaker trick. It's not just about having a break from what we're doing, but let's help things stick in your brain a little bit. We're going to do something next to break things up a little bit and get people moving around the room just a little bit. But imagine this, for those of you especially who haven't invested at all, okay? Somebody walks up to you and she says, man, I just found this great 3.2 FSBO. I can get it for 112. I thought that's what it said. I can get it for 112. Now, the BPO for the FMV is 140, so I can either get a subject to or with a 680 FICO, I can get a stated non-owner option arm with a neg am. Now, I think I'm going to get an 80-10-5 with no PMI, and then I can buy down the rate with 1 point. With minimal cosmetic, I should be able to get a CMA for an ARV of about 165. Okay? Investor speak. Welcome to our world. That's what we want to do next, is spend a little bit of time on acronyms and terminology and help you understand how to follow investor speak, all right? I know there's some investors in the room here who probably are following anybody got every single bit of that? You know exactly what every single bit of that means? Okay, one, the realtor. Yeah, okay, great. Well, hopefully, by the end of this session, you are actually all going to know what every single thing on that list means. And now I'm going to do something you're not going to like, but it's my room, so I get to pick. And what I'd like to do, is there anybody in here whose name begins with A? A. Yes, would you please stand up? I'm not going to make you talk in front of the room or anything, but I'd like you to, we don't have room to stand against the room right now. I'm trying to figure out where we can do this. Here's what I'd like you to do. Follow me, please. I'd like you to come on, right over here. I'd like you to come with me right here. Anybody else whose name starts with A? Okay, come on over here. All you A's, come stand right here. Your first name starts with A. Sorry, I didn't make that clear. My mistake. I'd like you guys to stand in alphabetical order. So arrange yourself, okay? Okay, B's, you're next. Come on, who are the B's? Right here. Form a line. B's, you're next. Okay, C's, you got it? Okay, I want everybody in alphabetical order by your first name. Okay, this is a little bit of a team building event. You probably have to talk to each other to figure out, get yourself in alphabetical order. But I think most of you know the alphabet. Okay, what are we up to? We're up to M. Okay, D's. All right, come on back, everybody. Keep going. Alphabetize yourself. One long line. Okay, he's moving on over. Keep going. Keep going. You can do it.
I got a long way to go.
You're not. Okay. They're coming. All right, you got it? Come on, Bolahan. Get over here. Come on, you can do it. Is anybody standing next to the person that they came to class with? A spouse or a friend? Or are you? You're not. Okay, good. All right. Terry. How'd you do? Everybody made it? All right, you all know the alphabet. You're passing. So far, so good. What we're going to do next is we're going to study terminology, and I want to mix up people. I don't want you here with the person you came with because you all have common knowledge in a lot of circumstances. So sorry, you're all mixed up. This is how we're going to break into small groups. I want groups of 4 people. So 1, 2, 3, 4, you're a group, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, you're a group. as I identify your group, go find a place to sit together, get your notebook and a pencil, okay, and go sit together. So there's 4, you're 1. Okay, you 4, you're a group. You got it? You 4, you're a group. Okay, you're going to work together. The 4 of you are going to work together. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. You're there. You're number 1, 2, 3, 4. You guys are a group. Go find a